Terry.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Charlie and Terry podcast. In case you're confused, I'm Charlie.
I'm Terry.
That's Terry. This is our last episode for the season, so I guess with some fond farewell here, and hopefully we get renewed next year.
Yes, so hopefully, please leave your comments. Keep it clean.
So we have moved our venue outdoors here, and so you're probably hearing a little bit of wind noise and some of things like that, which we have no control over. So hopefully we can get past that. But here we are sitting on a park bench, which is the topic, sort of introducing our topic. So I'll let you do that.
Well, the idea here is to pick at least one today. Person you would like to sit on a park bench and chat with. So we have a park bench, and we're each going to have one person that we'd like to sit down for a while and kind of kibitz.
So maybe you can kick it off, since
Okay.
This was kind of your idea, and you've been thinking about it for a while.
Yes, actually since last season.
Yeah.
My person, my first person, because I have three in mind, and we'll probably do that next season, is Groucho Marx. I mean, who would you rather spend like an hour or two sitting on a park bench than Groucho Marx, the king of the ad-libbers? I mean, he was a brilliant comic. He was born in 1890, and he died in 1977, which incidentally was the same years as my maternal grandfather lived. He was one of actually six brothers. One died in infancy. His mother, Minnie, got the idea. She had the show business bug, although she'd never been in show business. Her brother was in vaudeville, and so she put the boys first in a singing group, and then on vaudeville doing a comedy act.
Where were they born?
They were born in New York City.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, they were born in New York City.
Best place if you're going to be a comic and a show person. I guess.
Right. So they went on. They started in New York City. They didn't do very well. So they went to the Midwest. They actually lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for a while, and then to Chicago, where they perfected their act. They became popular in the Midwest, and then they moved back to New York and became popular in the vaudeville circuit around New York. Then they developed a play called Coconuts. The
How many
Coconuts.
brothers were? That was three brothers then. Right?
Well, actually there were four.
But-
Gummo, who he was never in the movies with them, but he was on stage with them. Harpo, Chico, and Groucho. Gummo left to fight in World War I, and then he was replaced by Herbert, who was Zeppo,
Okay.
the youngest Marx
And how
brother.
did they come up with these names?
Originally they did dialects.
Okay.
So Chico was the Italian, and he perfected it. They all took up musical instruments also. Obviously, Harpo was the harp, and
So what was Groucho's instrument?
I'm trying to remember. I think
His mouth, probably.
no, he did play, not very well.
Okay.
So, but then they did a comedy act. They first they sang and it wasn't very good, and then the comedy act actually took off. But they did it in dialect at first, and then came World War I. Groucho did a German accent, which was not very popular during World War I, as you can
guess
imagine.
not, yeah.
So he dropped that and just became ad-libber and wisecracks. So they did Coconuts as a play on Broadway. That was very successful. They made a movie of it, their first movie. I think it was in 1929. And then they did another play, Animal Crackers,
Oh, yeah,
which
that
also
one.
started as a play, and then they went
really?
to a
Okay.
movie. They did 12 movies together as brothers, and Groucho went on and he did a few solo movies, usually bit parts, not very long parts. And then, but in after in the late 40s, Groucho was doing a bit with Bob Hope, and the script was, they're supposed to follow the script, and it was awful. Bob Hope dropped the script, Groucho, when Hope was bending over, Groucho stepped on it, and they ad-libbed the rest of the thing. It was so hilarious. John Goodell, who was watching or listening, heard it, thought it was hilarious, and contacted Groucho for an idea he had for a quiz show, and which was You Bet Your Life. And that's how You Bet Your Life developed. Basically, the premise was they would pick these guests that would be able to interact with Groucho. It would be taped and later filmed, and so they would have these hours and hours of filming and tape and recording, but they would only edit out most of it, and some of it is off color, so they couldn't actually.
Oh, especially back in that day, right?
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
Probably wouldn't.
Oh
matter.
no, they wouldn't. It wouldn't matter. But it was hilarious. Some of the outtakes are actually available if you look hard enough on
On
YouTube.
Everything's on YouTube these days.
Yeah, everything's on
That's
YouTube,
right.
and it's hilarious. I remember my
Yeah.
grandfather got me into
Yeah.
watching Groucho, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So he would be an interesting person to sit on the park bench. Groucho, by the way, was also very brilliant. He dropped out of school at age 12, but he became a voracious reader, and he read everything. So mainly history, politics, government, geography.
I think most comedians are very intelligent people
I think so.
because they really have to have a perception that's sort of beneath the surface, if you will, and understand things and know how to present it and let it come out. And so I really respect the intelligence of most comedians. Is really
Yes.
something above normal, let's say. And it's also a way of seeing things and understanding things that most of us are kind of get caught up in the everyday drudgery we kind of miss. So comedians are definitely a very I don't know what the word is, but I think important thing in
Yes.
life to help us get through it. So
Oh, and by the way, Groucho's real name was Julius. That's his given name. I remember a couple quotes of his, and you could probably remember them. My favorite, which I always quote, is, "I would never join a club which would accept me as a member."
I remember that one.
And that's my favorite.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to take a break right here. We're just kind of for our new sponsor. Actually, we have a very excellent sponsor this time for this video. And hopefully, I think this is something you really need to pay attention to. And it's Viper Juice. And you can restore your vigor, ease your pain, and boost your brain. So take a moment to watch this, and we'll be back shortly.
I have exciting news for you. An ancient secret has been revealed. It is Viper Juice. You can invigorate your personal projection, dominate the world with new strength and power, protect your health, and ward off disease. Through groundbreaking application of artificial intelligence, the ancient secret of Viper Juice is now available to you. I searched and deciphered ancient texts to discover a formula hidden for centuries. Viper Juice. Just one daily teaspoon of Viper Juice will unlock your vigor and your cognitive skills you never thought possible. Now, I have to tell you that since Viper Juice formula is a closely guarded secret, it has not been tested by the FDA. There are some reports of severe headaches, blurred vision, shortness of breath, and irregular heartbeat. But these reports are exaggerated by drug companies and medical researchers who fear their services are no longer needed. Find out for yourself. Dial the number on your screen now to discover the truth and a new you. Remember, if it doesn't kill you, it will make you stronger.
Well, here we are again. So I broke your rule, I think, but
That's
about who
okay.
to talk to. But I took it pretty seriously, and I thought, well, gee, how far back would I go? Maybe I could talk to Plato or somebody or Julius Caesar, but I'd have a language problem. And
You speak Greek or Latin?
No Greek and no Latin. Not like
That would be difficult.
I would be totally out of context. And so then, on a serious note, I thought somebody like Abraham Lincoln would be a person.
Just don't take him to the theater.
Yeah, right. That's not even funny. I don't know. But definitely he got us through stressful times, and he did pay a heavy price for it. But then I was thinking a little more through it, and I thought about my mother, and something popped into my head, and based on kind of my upbringing, my mother was a pretty religious person, and she just sacrificed everything for her family, and she played the piano pretty well, and I don't know why all of a sudden I remember this, and I'm not proud of it. It was one Christmas time that she wanted to sit at the piano and have us kids sing Christmas carols, and I must have been 12 or 14. I can't quite remember, and but I didn't want to do it for some reason, right?
Because you're 12 or 14.
Yeah, might have had something to do with it. So, but she got very upset, and she pleaded with my father to do something, and he whipped out his belt and knocked over. It got wrapped around one of these pole lamps and pulled it over. And my brother wet his pants, and the whole thing turned into a farce. And my mother ended up crying, and I regret that. And I'd just like to be able to tell her I'm sorry. Anyway, so I may have to edit that out. But we never, as I thought about it, I never really got into deep discussions. I remember my mother, when I was a Boy Scout, she would, I was getting my fitness merit badge. I forgot what it was called, physical fitness, whatever. And I had to run, which I hated, but she would follow me in the car and make sure I was safe, and I'd run down the road for my time, like I put it in.
And this was in Kentucky?
I mean, this was in Kentucky. And she would drive all of us kids to the swimming practice in the summertime every day. And my mother was an educated woman, and she went back to, she got a degree from Hunter College in New York, and then she stopped for a while, and then she became a school teacher in Lexington, Kentucky, and then when she moved to Chicago. And then she went, but in the meantime, she went back to get her master's degree, sort of when the kids were grown, when she could take the time, but she accomplished that. But we never, I don't think, sat down too much. She was very, very stoic in a way, and she died of cancer, and it was a 2-year, awful.
Yeah, but, my mother died of cancer also.
Yeah. Anyway, so we never had a chance to sit down and kind of like sit on a park bench and talk about stuff. And she loved gardens, and she liked to, sit outside and kind of in a natural setting and just enjoy things. And so it would have been a good opportunity that I missed, right? And I'm sorry about that. And so, if I could go back and talk to her, I would do that. I didn't realize it was, going to go.
For Clem.
Get this, yeah.
No,
but,
it's fine.
It's not something that I've thought about very much. And you're saying, well, you prompted it, and you said, well, who would you? I feel it would be if I could go back and say something and talk and get a little more out of her about how she really felt about things, and her what was important to her and her upbringing and things like that. I would like to do that. But of course, I'm a different person now than I was way back when, and you get a different perspective on things, and so that's where I am on this one. So that, I think, is probably about all I can say about that. So please, make your comments, I guess, and we'll be back next year, and
hopefully we'll get renewed.
Hopefully, I don't know if we can stand it, right?
Yeah, but leave your comments. Don't be too gross.
Yeah.
But leave your comments, make suggestions if you'd like, because we're always looking for good topics to discuss. So have a nice summer, and we'll see you in the fall.